Welcome everyone to another episode of Slasher Scotty. I am your host, Scotty McCoy, and boy, do I have a surprise for all of you. I have on Zoom with me right now Dave Sheridan, and he played Special Officer Doofy in Scary Movie, and he also was in played Sheriff Wilmore in Bloody Summer Camp, and Henry Lee Palmer in Massacre Academy. Hey Dave, how you doing?
What's up? How are you, Scotty?
I'm
Where's
doing
Slasher?
great.
Are you Slasher Scotty?
You can just call me Scotty if you want.
No, I didn't know if there was a Slasher and Scotty. I didn't know if it was two people.
Nope, just me. I'm so glad to have you on, though. I'm so glad we could make this happen. I'm a big fan of yours, and I know you worked with a couple of good friends of mine, which is really exciting as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be on.
Awesome, thank you. So the first question I have for you is, how did you get your start into acting?
Well, my start into acting, it's more like when did I not ever do it? When did I stop? Because I've done it since preschool. So it just kind of morphed into, oh, I was the class clown, and to stop the class clown, then they put me into performances at school, and then performances at school turned into going to college, for film and television, and then that turned into internships and jobs, and Saturday Night Live and Second City, and then MTV came through, and various people came through at Second City, like talent scouting. But
Right.
I had interviews with MTV, and that turned into me, making a pilot with them for Buzzkill. And then I got that show, and that turned into meeting people, like Mike Judge at MTV and Terry Zwigoff, and ultimately that was once I was on that show on MTV, Buzzkill, then that opened the door to Scary Movie, because I was now working with other companies, lots of companies at that point. So
nice. That's awesome. So
once you did Scary Movie with Doofy, then that was it,
Yeah, absolutely. And Special Officer Doofy was amazing. I really enjoyed that character. So obviously you were in Scary Movie, as you mentioned. What was your audition like for that?
Well, so yeah, basically I've told this story so many times, but people, it'd be funny to it's kind of like a Bible now, where it's like, this is the word according to Slasher Scotty, his version of the story. It changes, what if somebody can compile all the various stories of me walking into Keenan in full Chip attire. So Doofy, prior to being cast as Doofy, the character's name was Chip. And I had 2 short films. I think I made 2, maybe 3 short films, and people saw those. I think I spoke to you earlier. I would make the VHS tapes and spread them around town. And Miramax called me and said, "We think you'd be perfect to play Doofy as this character Chip. Would you be willing to do it?" I said, "Absolutely. Let me read the script." And then I said, "I'll do it if I can play the killer as well," because I was already portrayed as the killer, but I was like, I go, this is my chance to wear a mask and actually kill people. And I know that I can bring a lot of comedy to the physical aspect. When you're wearing a mask, and Ghostface is very similar to Michael Myers and Jason, except I talk. So there is a personality slightly like Freddy, but Freddy can move his face and make Ghostface is still like a dead face character, but with personality. With the voice. I don't know how many other ones are like that. See, Michael Myers doesn't have a voice. Jason doesn't have a voice. So those are dead face characters without the voice. And then you've got Freddy Krueger, who is a character. He's got personality, but he also can move his face.
Right.
What other ones do you know of that are in the killer thing? What do we have? We have Leatherface.
We have Leatherface. We have Chucky.
Okay, so Chucky he falls into a character like Freddy,
because he's a doll, but he's animatronic. Yeah.
Right. But Leatherface, does Leatherface have a I don't.
Say it again?
I know. I look at Texas Chainsaw as like a family. There's so many other characters in that.
Yeah.
He's not like, it's kind of funny that he's like really the main character comes out of that. Just
right. There's Leatherface. There's like the Grandpa Sawyer. There's the brother. You
They're
know,
really, yeah, that whole Texas Chainsaw Massacre is probably closer to where Rob Zombie kind of takes his,
yeah,
Firefly family from, in a
yeah.
sense,
I can agree with that.
But yeah, so I'm just trying to think of like which one is a dead face character, but
Mhm.
with a personality. I'm wondering if I'm just wondering what's out there that is that. Ghostface might be the only one. I don't know.
Maybe he might be. He actually might be the only one that I can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Right.
Yeah,
Because even in the Scream ones, Roger Jackson has a character. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
he's a bit pushy. He's a bit
mhm,
ominous.
yeah.
I mean, maybe Saw. What about Saw? Because there's like
Jigsaw, yeah,
Jigsaw a little bit, but
a little bit,
his
yeah,
mouth moves. I don't know if
yeah,
his eyes move or anything, but he's
yeah.
he's not as dead face as like a ghost face,
Right.
Michael Myers or Jason.
Yeah.
They don't have a face. It's a,
Yes.
it's a killer without a face.
Exactly.
They are death. They are lifeless
Hmm.
in that thing. But Michael Myers and Jason are truly lifeless. Especially
Absolutely.
Michael
Yeah.
Myers. Michael Myers is lifeless. He's a sociopath. He has no
Yeah.
soul. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
He's the embodiment
Uh,
of evil.
right. Exactly.
Yes.
That keeps walking and you can't
Yeah.
stop it, whatever you do.
Absolutely.
And that's why I did like that remake, the one that's going to be the new one's coming out.
Yeah.
Should have already been out like a year ago or whatever. But
Yeah.
in that final scene where she locks him down and then burns him,
Yeah.
it is one time where his lifeless face looking up, they really captured this just toddler
Right.
brain of
Yeah.
Michael Myers, so confused,
Yeah.
so sort of sad at the
Yeah.
same time. Like
And I'm really looking forward to Halloween Kills, especially because if you look closely, you see Michael Myers standing there, he's burning alive. Then the camera goes to Laurie Strode and her daughter and her granddaughter in the
like,
truck, and then
yeah,
the ending clip is back with Michael
kind of
Myers in the
that's a
thing.
little tip to Texas Chainsaw
Yeah,
Massacre.
but Michael Myers at the very last shot in the fire, he's gone.
Sure, right.
He's gone. Like Michael Myers escaped somehow.
Yeah,
Like he's not there anymore. That's how it ends with him being gone. Where'd he go? So now
right.
I'm assuming that's how Halloween Kills is going to open. I haven't looked at any spoilers. Didn't look at any scripts. I didn't want to see any spoilers. I want to be
Right.
surprised when I go into the theater.
I think he's his overalls burned off, and the first scene is he's completely naked. He's completely naked, Michael Myers.
There we go. How about that? That'd be awesome.
If they have any balls, they should do that. At least that would be
Exactly.
So we going back to the Chip and Doofy thing was Chip was a big fan of Hulk Hogan, and I used to shop at these like thrift stores. And the only reason I came up with the name Chip was because the first film I made was I was at a thrift store and I saw a Chevron employee shirt and it had a patch that said Chip. And I thought to take the Doofy character, all these films I made back in the early 90s were all like kind of Borat-y before Borat, where I would take unexposed cameras. They're not hidden cameras, but they're just tucked away or they're not in your face. So you don't realize a camera is rolling because my characters are so in your face and you don't see the camera 15 feet away.
Mhm.
And basically, I thought it'd be funny to play Doofy, to play Doofy working at a Chevron where he comes up and he wants to clean your windows and check your tire pressure. And you're sitting there going like, oh, okay, that's nice. It's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So basically, there's a limit to how far someone's going to let a character like Doofy start to touch the car. So after I did that and the water was muddy, I'm like, clean your windows. Yeah, it's good. And they're like, no, you're not doing a good job. And you must be the owner's son, but that's nice. Thank you. And it's like, okay, pop your hood. I got to check your, no. Pop your hood. It's part of the service. And that's where they'd be like, no, you're not going in my engine. Not going in my engine. So it was a funny, little bit. And then I had I was at the thrift store and I saw this Hulk Hogan. I just started collecting Hulk Hogan stuff.
Nice.
And I got a Hulkamaniac jacket, Hulkamaniac shirt, a Hulk hat, a Hulk fanny pack, shorts, socks. I had the whole thing. He just looked like a total Hulkamaniac. There was not a bigger Hulkamaniac than Chip, aka Doofy. So that's what I wore in. And he'd always say like, yeah, Hulk, you like the Hulk. And so I went in to meet with Keenan as Doofy. And I didn't really do the lines they wanted me to read. I stuck my hands in his face. I'm like, yeah, give me 5, give me 5. And that's kind of where that smell my finger came from. Dick would always be like, give me 5. And he'd stick his hand in your face and be like, what the, get out of here. And I left there thinking like, oh man, that was fun. And then I got a call from Miramax and they're like, what the hell did you do? You got to get back. You got to get back there and show them that you're not totally chipped, because he thinks we sent a mentally disabled person into the audition. And so then I went back and he thought it was freaking hilarious that I was so committed. And he said, do me a favor, we're going to have a cast reading in a week. And I want you to do the same thing. Come in as Chip, come in the outfit, and don't break character. And I did, and it freaked people out the whole time. They're like, oh, like, I could see people moving their seats away from me. And then he finally revealed like, oh, it's Dave Sheridan. He's an actor. That's his character, Doofy. And they're like, what? Like, dude. And they go, you know what you got to do when you come to set, when we start shooting, you got to, for the crew, you got to show up as Doofy. And I kept doing it. It kept like being this thing I kept doing, which was kind of funny.
That's awesome. So are you more of a character actor then?
What's so funny is people use that term character actor and they misuse that term, because it has transferred into actors that play characters, so to speak. But the original terminology of character actor was like, I'll say like Humphrey Bogart was a character actor, or who is the bad guy that's always with Humphrey Bogart? You know what I mean? Like, who would be a character actor of today, the way it's really termed, the way it's supposed to be, is Danny Trejo is a character. Okay. So Danny Trejo doesn't play characters. Danny Trejo is a character.
Right.
He's a character. He's a type, and he's Danny Trejo. He's not, he might play a priest or something, but you can't get away from Danny Trejo.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Robert Davi.
Okay.
He is. He would be a character actor with the hawk face and the thing. And so there was a guy, Edward G. Robbins, I think that was his name. He was like the bad guy all the time.
Nice.
And
yeah.
He's got a look, you know what I mean? It's when you're already a character in real life.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. I have never known that.
Wilford Brimley is a character actor. Do you remember Wilford Brimley?
The name sounds very familiar.
Look him up. He was in Cocoon. He was in The Firm with Tom Hanks. I'm going Wilford Brimley. He was heavy with the mustache and
Yep, I remember him.
That dude's not showing up as you're not gonna like, whoa, wow, man, he had an English accent and I couldn't recognize him. It's Wilford Brimley every time. He's gonna be the same voice. So that's when you're hiring, and it came from the Edward G. Robbins type of characters who had a look and a voice, and they would sign with MGM for like 13 pictures to play himself. That's his character. He's going to be that guy. He might be a bank owner, or he might be the head of a gang guy, but he comes on set.
Nice.
Jimmy Stewart would be a character actor, even though he's a lead actor. He's a lead actor from being a character actor because he has a certain, Tom Blanchard, like rolling along. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And probably that guy was like, and look at you, work frustrated young man, Mr. Potter. He probably, I don't know that actor, whether he was putting something on or not, so, but there were actors back then that did do voices and characters that you didn't, but they weren't known as character actors. Does that make any sense?
Yep, it makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that, because I know that I know that Walt Gorney, for example. You know Walt Gorney, right? From Friday the 13th, Crazy Ralph.
Yeah.
Yes. I heard on the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, they mentioned that he was a very good character actor. They thought he was really crazy because he played, he acted like Crazy Ralph all the time. Now, do you consider him a character actor outside of the Crazy Ralph character? Like, do you consider him the type of be a character actor?
Maybe, yeah. If you have like, the other guy, Walter Goggins, who's the deputy before me.
Okay. Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
He was definitely a character actor. Now I think he's getting roles where he's immersing himself a little differently in vocal range and size, but he does have a certain look you can't get away from, So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's all. It's,
Yeah.
ultimately, I just hear people say, "Oh, you're a character actor." That's really what the term character actor was when someone was a character, like
Yeah.
not playing a character, not like Ernest, the guy
Right.
played Ernest, but just somebody that is just has a certain accent and has a certain look and a
Okay.
vibe, and that's who you hire.
Nice. Yeah.
The guy that played the postman in Seinfeld, the big heavyset guy, Newman. And did you see him in Jurassic Park?
Yep. Wayne Knight. Yep.
He was pretty much Newman in Jurassic Park. Right? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yep.
That's what I mean by character actor. It's like
That's a
that guy
perfect
walks in and
example.
we go, "Hey, how about him?" And it's like, "Come play yourself. Just come play
Right.
yourself."
Yep.
That-
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Yep. That absolute. Oh my God. I freaking love Newman too. Wayne Knight. He's good. And like, even if you watched him in the show, it's no longer airing, The X's. He basically played Newman in The X's.
Okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
That's what he does.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what he does. You're not going to see him playing a transgender bartender.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not going to come out. So
Absolutely. So obviously you were involved with two indie films, obviously a bunch of others as well, but these two, I have good friends that are involved with the Bloody Summer Camp and Massacre Academy. So how did you happen to get involved in both of those films? And for those unaware, can you let them know what both Bloody Summer Camp and Massacre Academy are all about?
So, okay, I'll start with Bloody Summer Camp because I'll just do it in chronological order. That's what I shot first.
Okay.
They both came about through Felissa Rose, a producing partner of mine, actress, and we're going to get her on your show. And so she shot Bloody Summer Camp about 6 months before.
Okay.
And had a great experience. And while she was on set, she goes, I could get you Dave Sheridan. And Dave Kerr, the director, right, was like, "Oh my God, he'd be perfect. We have a sheriff role. And you think he'd do it?" And sure, give him a call. And they sent me the script, and I thought it was really funny. And him and I had a relationship over the phone that I knew I was going to be able to come in and kind of be free to improvise and do stuff. I actually developed a form of improvisation, which I guess I figured out I was already doing. But on that film, I really structured it in a way that now I know what I'm doing in a thing that I don't think anyone else does. And I do tell other actors about how I go about doing it. And I can talk about it here.
That's funny because that's one of my questions coming up.
Yeah. So with that said, I shot that one first. And then we were doing, we did a movie called Stream, which is by the Terrifier guys, Terrifier 1 and
2. David Thornton, right?
He's in it. Yeah, he's in it. And but Michael Levy's the director and his brother are in it. And it's a really good film. It's like myself, and you could look it up. It was listed on Bloody Disgusting not too long ago. But we shot that in Gettysburg in the winter. And then Felissa was also on that with myself. And then she I don't know how she got involved with Massacre Academy, but she said, "Look, before we leave town, we could go to Pittsburgh. We could shoot a couple days on this film called Massacre Academy." And honestly, I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't have a script. That was more of a convenience of, okay, great, let's go do it. I haven't been to Pittsburgh and get paid. And then, but I was thoroughly surprised on Massacre Academy because, like I told you, we were going to talk about how I'm involved in all these lower budget indie movies, which are mostly horror movies. Because that's what that genre is. There is a genre of low budget horror movies. And I wanted to get involved in that stuff. One is because I am studying and learning more about the horror business, and especially filmmaking and lower budget filmmaking, and you make films yourself. But also, like once I did The Devil's Rejects, the conventions really opened my eyes up to what the horror world was in terms of its fans and loyalty of the fans and the community. And I didn't even know that existed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
My thing went as far as like maybe Fangoria magazine growing up, you know what I mean? Or Film Thread or something like that. So I do think the one thing the horror community is, the thing that upsets me, I wouldn't say upsets me, but it's so there's there are people, don't take this the wrong way. I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? Spectrum. A lot of people are on the spectrum, are drawn to the horror community, which different spectrums. But because of that spectrum that they're in, they're like, oh nope, I like Friday the 13th. I like Friday the 13th, and I like that type of film.
Right.
And oh no, I don't like, I'm not really into psychological thrillers, horror thrillers, you know what I mean? Or I don't like the trauma stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a splatter gore. I don't know. I'm not into splatter gore. I'm not into paranormal stuff. I'm into killers. I like guys with masks, walk slow with machetes. You know what I mean? And so there is people that are just like, that's my style and that's what I'm into. Versus me, I really am into all of it because I'm into filmmaking, and I don't get to pick and choose what I'm acting in. So I'm jumping into like, you know, Massacre Academy is one style, and then Bloody Summer Camp is like a comedy. You know, comedy thing, and Massacre Academy is more serious. And then I did a monster sort of creature feature thing called The Special, which was more really grounded, and it was like kind of like an art house pick that the guy's morphing into a monster. Have you seen that film?
I haven't. No,
that one's great. That one's really good. And then there's like Big Freaking Rat, which is you know, that's like almost it hinges on trauma. You know what I mean? It's like the goofiest rat in the world and the stupidest plot. And it's just a rat, you know, that's all it is, a big rat. People. So, whereas like the difference between me as a horror actor and getting into this horror world, I'm doing all the genres.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's a werewolf one that I'm about to do with Mark. You know what I mean? I wasn't in this one called Go Away with Dave, but I was there with them filming, but it didn't work out with the role they wanted me for and my schedule. But I like those guys so much. I went to the set. That would have been a different one too. There's so many different, you know, we one called Time's Up. It's more like a Scream. You know what I mean? It's very, except it's actually not even, Scream is actually a satire, so it's funny. You know what I'm saying? But, or it's witty. You know, Time's Up is pretty much dead serious. You know what I mean? Not a lot of funny stuff in it. But so it's interesting. I'm just saying, like, there might be people that are horror fans that want to get into acting, but only want to act in what they're fans of the type of horror they're in. You know what I mean? And you could kind of see that in Indiegogo, where people go to Indiegogo and then there's people going, oh, I'm going to back that. I'm going to act in that. Or I'll say, how about this one? They go, nah, that one doesn't look like something I'd have fun in. It's like, but it's another horror movie, and it's, you know,
exactly.
Like, I have a good time shooting anything. I like shooting. I like acting. And so to me, it's a challenge too, to be like, this is going to be a little smaller. In case in point, did you see Massacre Academy?
I have, yes, because Mark gave me a screener for it. Yeah.
So my role in that is pretty dark. You know what I mean? I'm fairly serious in it. And then if you see Bloody Summer Camp, I'm the goofiest sheriff you'll ever meet.
Bloody Summer Camp I haven't seen yet, but that is definitely on my bucket list.
It's funny. Yeah, it's funny.
Because I know you mentioned before, like earlier today when we were talking, Cody Falk, he's a good friend of mine, and he was in that, and I believe Chris Ridings was also in it. I don't know if you know, I'm pretty sure you know Chris Ridings, and because he was in that, and he was in Massacre Academy. And Dave Kerr, he's a friend of mine. He directed it, obviously. I definitely want, that's one of them that I would like to see. And I was going to go to Waynesboro to see it when it was in the theater, but I had something going on that week, and I'm like, oh my gosh, every single time I can go to see it, something comes up.
It would be cool if you could, you know, I would say to the people out there that Bloody Summer Camp, there's an extended cut that they're finishing. And most of the extensions is just me in my improvisation that they're like, we don't have enough time, we got to cut it out. But on the Blu-ray, it's really the Blu-ray cut. The Blu-ray is going to be extended, but they're going to play that at the New Jersey Horror Fest. And I think that's like November 14th and 15th. I don't know what day it is. It's in Atlantic City though. And then following weekend of like the 18th, 19th, 20th, something in there of November in Pittsburgh. It's at Horror Realm. But on Sunday night, you should just go check for both of those, Bloody Summer Camp and Massacre Academy. Just go to the Instagram or whatever social media accounts they have, and I'm sure they're listing the screening dates and what it's going to be. That one is, that is
Nice.
Massacre Academy will be Sunday night on like the
Nice.
20th or something like that in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. I know.
I'll be at both of those. We're going to do Q&As. We were just talking. You're going to be.
Yep.
You're going to be at one, right? Yeah.
I'm not gonna be there, but I'm gonna do a live virtual with Mark and you and Felissa and a couple other actors, and try just kind of go live and ask you guys like a couple questions and everything, kind of, give everybody insight on the movie. So when it comes out on Blu-ray or if there's any other screenings, have everybody come and go and see it and get it, because it is a really good movie.
Yep.
Really good movie.
Yep.
Absolutely. So obviously you mentioned that you did know you were the killer in a Scary Movie. And you said you did the scenes, right? So which death scene did you perform was your most favorite, the funnest?
Ooh. That's a good question. I think it would have to be the opening Carmen Electra scene, because it had a lot of levels to it, and it was sort of shot for shot. I wouldn't say it was shot for shot, but it had a good amount of jokes in it, and it played in a process. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it led up to a lot of stuff. It wasn't just one kill, but I did enjoy killing Shannon Elizabeth when I cut her head off. She wouldn't die. Remember, she wouldn't die, and I'd be like, and I slit her head off and stuff like that, and she was still alive. They cut a lot of stuff of that out though, because it got really brutal, where I was just like ripping her guts open and I was pulling stuff out, and it was like the Jaws scene. It was like, there was like a boot that came out and condoms and a license plate, you know what I mean? And she just didn't die. But first it was like guts, and you see like, lower intestines, and then it was sausages, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it was funny, but they said it was too bloody and gory. So they did that. And that's the big difference between, like, say, a Scary Movie does not have really any blood and guts, because it really is more of a Zucker brother.
Yeah.
It's dirty. It's a dirty movie, but there's not a lot of, they're not pulling a heart out. I started watching, I pull the breast implant out, but there's not too much blood.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Versus say like the Hatchet movies. And I'm Victor Crowley, I'm a Hatchet 4.
Yeah.
Or that is it has a lot of jokes. A lot of jokes in it, but it's very bloody and very
bloody. Yes.
Yeah, and there's some like mega kills in there, I guess you want to call it. He tries to have one, like holy crap, but there's a lot of blood in that. So that's proof though that you can do, and that's more when I do my comedy horrors, and I have one I want to get off the ground, that's what it's going to be more like, is probably like the comedy of Scary Movie, but even tenfold the blood and guts of say a Hatchet. Every kill I have is insane, and people don't have as much blood as they're going to be pumping out, what I mean?
And oh my god, like with Scary Movie, like I would literally laugh at that movie all the time, like just some of the jokes and some of the cheese, I guess you could say. Like it's so funny, some of the stuff, and like oh my god, most of the stuff, like I'm just cracking up laughing. Like even like the sex scene, I believe it was with Anna Faris, where he's using the weed whacker and everything, like the bats and everything. Like it's just that movie is in general just has me cracking up. And I mean the Wayans brothers, they're the ones that obviously were like they were really involved with this. They directed it, like they're a funny family.
I'm finding out from talking to a lot of young people at the conventions, when I say young, I'm saying 20 years old. A movie 20 years old. Yeah. 21 years old. So if somebody comes to my table and they're 23, they were 3 years old when the movie came out, or 2 years old when the movie came out. So they didn't see the movie in the theater. So one of the things I'm finding out is that they do understand that there's Scream, because you can't get away from Scream. There's 5 of them, just 5 or 6 of them, just like Scary Movie. Yeah. But most of them don't know about or haven't seen I Know What You Did Last Summer. Right. So where a big portion of that film is 50% of it is the storyline of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Right. They didn't see that, so they really view Scary Movie as like, wow, like a lot of them came up because it's kind of harmless. Yeah. But you have to understand, you want to know the scariest movie that I watched growing up?
What?
Wizard of Oz.
Oh wow!
It was on TV every year, and it scared the shit out of me. The witch and the monkey.
Yeah.
scary movie, and it was
Yeah.
creepy. And
It was.
so you watch it now and go like, that's not scary. What the heck, you know what I'm saying? Like, and
Right.
so people watch scary movie when they're like 5 or 6 or 8,
Mhm.
and it says scary movie, so they're like, oh, and there is a guy killing and but he's
Right.
not really. But they were like, I thought it was and then most of the comedy is going over their head.
Right.
So they were going,
Yep.
for the first, like 10 years of my life, I thought scary movie was an actual horror movie,
Yep.
not a spoof, because they didn't
Yep.
have a reference to it. They
Yep.
didn't know, you know what I'm saying? And
Yep. And the
then
funny thing is,
the
the first
comedy was
Scream
actually
was
going over
originally
their
supposed.
hair. Huh?
The
Good, what?
Scream, the first Scream was originally going to be titled Scary Movie
Yeah,
at
that's
first
right.
too.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I wasn't even old enough to see Scream in the theaters. I was only like 7 years old at the time. I mean, I've been watching horror movies since I was 6 years old.
Mhm.
But I mean, my parents would take me to back when VHS tapes were the big thing, and they would take me to Black Diamond in Ashland, Pennsylvania, and we'd end up getting out. We'd end up renting the VHS tape. They'd get it for me, and I'd watch it with them. And yeah, the first thing I saw was Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and that's got me started into all of horror movies. I watched all the Friday the 13th and all the Halloweens and Nightmare on Elm Streets and everything. And I mean, I've been watching them since I was 6, but I couldn't go to the theaters even with an adult, because back in the 90s, I couldn't go they wouldn't let us go with an adult unless we were at least like 15, 16 years old. Then we can go with our parents.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
yeah.
At least in our theaters, I don't know if I'm sure every theater is different, like with different
Right.
rules. The ones that
Yeah.
we had, like you had to be at least, I think, maybe 13 at the least.
Oh,
You can
okay.
do it a parent, but
I
when you
thought
were
if I,
6, 7,
because I brought my kids to stuff all the time.
yep,
Like,
yep, we weren't allowed. Like we were allowed with a parent at like. I know I did when I was 15 or 16, maybe 13 was the limit, but
right.
not, I was born in 89. So but and there's like, I'm at the end of the 80s, literally the end of the 80s, December 89. And I wanted to, like, all the Friday the 13th, all the Halloweens, I love all of them, and I would have loved to see them in theaters.
Hmm.
Now, Scary Movie, I did see that in theaters.
You did.
Yep, I went with my mom and dad to see that one, and it was, and no, they didn't like that I was seeing that, because they thought it was going to be like a horror movie at first. But it made me grow up to love spoofs and to love, like, these type of like, I guess you could say comedy horror type of movies too. Like I really grew up in that. Like it was part of my inspiration of doing my first feature film, Samhain, which was a comedy horror. So
Okay.
yeah, it kind of
What's it called
was
again? What's it called? What's it called?
Samhain, or Samhain, as some people
Oh,
pronounce it.
okay.
Yep,
Yeah, I got it.
it's a very low budget, not that good. I was my first movie made with my own money, so like I didn't have any funds, no Indiegogo. I was literally getting into it all myself, and it wasn't that
Right.
good of a movie, but first movie. You can't. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the greatest. But
Right. Good.
yeah, but like I got a lot of my jokes from Scary Movie as well. Like, a lot of the corny type of cheesy type of jokes, and some sexual jokes, like stuff like that. I kind of got from Scary Movie. So
In the Sam Hain movie you're saying?
in the Sam Hain, yep.
What's it called?
Yep.
Salmon?
Sam
Salmon?
Hain, Salmon. Yep. It's SAMHAIN.
Like Pacific salmon? Just kidding. Where can people see that film? Where can I see that film?
So it was on Amazon. However, it is no longer on Amazon because they took down their video on demand platform or whatever.
Right.
And the way our post-production editor saved it, we were unable to get it to generate proper captions for it to go stream on Amazon.
Right.
So, but what I could do is I have a couple copies somewhere in my house, still unpacking, but I can, if you, we can email and everything, I can give you a copy of it. Actually, no, better yet, I have the full movie unlisted on YouTube. I can send you the link once we're done.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
I will let you know it is not the greatest movie out there, but just know it is a very low budget, and you can tell.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's important for you to have
Learn.
some basis of judgment of your own work. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I'd rather hear people say, "Oh, this isn't that good," or "This isn't that great," versus like, "Man, this thing is awesome." And
Right.
no, it's not. Okay, it's not.
Right.
Because-
I am more than happy to say what isn't good. We also made a short film called Friday the 13th, Dead Before Dusk, kind of like a short fan film. That one is like 18 minutes long on YouTube, and that one's a lot better than that one is, with special effects per se. But
yeah, because I would think if there's never once I do a performance and I thought that was the best it could be. I'm always going home
Right.
going like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do
Yeah.
this, I gotta do that. And a film is really never finished. I got films in the can I've been working on for a long time.
Yep.
One is going on almost 20 years that it's just sitting
Nice.
there on the
Yeah.
editing thing, because I'm very picky,
Yeah.
got a little OCD, but the good thing that I could say is at least I'm can if you ever run into a director who goes, man, this film is the best film ever, I made it, it's the greatest thing ever.
Yep.
It's like, that's not a director should want to, and a writer should want to keep getting better and say,
Yep.
it's never good enough, it's never good enough,
Absolutely. I interviewed Tom McLaughlin, the director of Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives, and he said that every time he's on my Facebook, and he followed my first movie, and he asked how did it come out and everything, and I said it could have been a lot better. It was okay, but it could have been a lot better. And he said, you know what, whenever somebody tells me what is your favorite movie you've ever directed, I always tell them the next one, because the last one might be good, but I can always do better.
I always say that about the podcast I'm on.
Nice. Yep.
It's a joke. I'm on your podcast. You know what my favorite podcast is? The next one.
The next one, exactly. But no, yeah, that advice, it really helped me out with this current movie we're working on, 72, which is more of like a quarantine type of movie. It's like a drama, suspense, horror, thriller type of thing. And we're doing so much better with this movie, and we're doing really well. We raised $4,400 on our Indiegogo, just because like sound gave us our launching pad. It gave us a lot of connections that we met.
Right.
And yeah, and meeting those connections, like it really helped out getting us to that next level, which was really awesome. But back to this. So when you first got the script for Scary Movie, what were your initial thoughts on it? I know you spoke briefly about it, but what were your initial thoughts on this movie?
Well, I would say this. I had a high bar. First of all, I loved I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker, which was Keenan's sort of blaxploitation end up before In Living Color. And it was one of my favorite movies in that period. And then Airplane and the Zucker brothers stuff, I loved all that. So when there was the spoof coming, I wasn't a big fan of Don't Drink Your Juice While Being a Menace in the Hood or whatever it was. I know they made that one also. That was like a Boys in the Hood, you know what I mean? Kind of like that period of the Singleton spoofing that sort of like South Central, growing up in the South Central kind of stuff, gangs. And it was okay, but that was what I was worried about, was that one was spread out of too many films. It was taking a piece from here and a piece from there, and it didn't have a concise story, in my opinion. What made Scary Movie work is you can't deny they kept it very concise in terms of there's a group of kids in high school and somebody's killing them, right? I mean, and people, there's a killer in a mask. So there is a mystery to be solved. There is that Scooby-Doo thing of, okay, we know Scream, so we know it's going to be somebody it's going to be one of these players. You know what I mean? That's what Scream. Scream doesn't go all of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, take off the mask now. It's like, oh, it's the dude we've never seen in the movie yet at all. He was never in the movie. It's always somebody that's in the movie. So you even reading it, I knew I was the killer reading it from the first time. They already pitched it to me. You're going to be this guy, and you're also going to be the killer. So that was kind of a spoiler alert that blew it for me reading it. But obviously I was looking at the jokes and I was kind of just seeing how the kills were. And I could envision, okay, this is going to work. But also I knew from a side of the audience going, you've got this Airplane story, concise, characters are concise, but yet we're getting killed, and you could really track and go, hey, who is the killer? Like it's not given, like what would have made that movie bad. And I think there was one called Prom Night, and it might have even been Larry might have been in it from Friday 13th. He might have been in Prom Night. It was a comedy. Do you remember Prom Night? I do. And I think you knew who the killer was too early. It was like literally on page. I got to go back and watch that, but I remember as a kid watching it going like, well, now I know who the killer is. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like once
Yeah.
you know who the killer is, it kind of lets the air out.
Right.
Even if
Yeah.
the killers aren't that great, even if it's not,
Yeah.
at least there's some suspense to keep you
Yeah.
moving to the engagement of like,
Right.
well, the movie's not that funny. It kind of sucks. I'm wasting my time, but I do want to see who the killer is. So
Right.
like if they revealed
Yeah.
it was Doofy on page 15, I think the movie would not be as good.
Right.
Like,
I think
my
a good
reveal
example.
really sells it, you know,
Yeah, but
like,
I think a
oh,
good example of that is Scream 2. Because you don't like, Mickey's the killer, but so is Debbie
right,
Salt, aka Mrs. Loomis. That was a
right,
big twist. I didn't expect her, first of all, to be the mother of the killer in the first one. Second of
right,
all, you've seen her enough that she's a character, and obviously you know her from Roseanne. So you know who this, she's kind of sticks out for you because you know the actress to begin with. But
right.
I never expected her to be the killer. Like I was thinking it was gonna be, the boyfriend again, but I was thinking that's too obvious. Maybe it is Haley, the Sydney's friend, which she was originally going to be the killer.
Uh-huh.
But because that got leaked, they changed it and they put Mrs. Loomis as the killer. And I'm like, oh my God, that was a shocker. I couldn't believe it. Like, that's a good example of like not knowing who the killer is, but they're right in front of your face the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So what was the best part about filming Scary Movie and what was the worst?
The best part of filming Scary Movie was working on a major motion picture feature. That was my first one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And meeting all the other actors, whether it was Sherry O'Terry or John Abrams or Anna Faris, just Lachlan Monroe. Everyone came from different levels. Like it was Anna's first film, but she was 18. It was her first anything. It was my first feature film, but I had 12, 13 years of, I worked at Saturday Night Live, I worked at Second City, I did MTV. I was probably more of a veteran than anyone else in that sense. I just was never on a budget of this size and the scope of feature film. And Lachlan Monroe was an established actress, an actor. So it was fun to go, wow, this is what it's like. The good news is that was a great ensemble, and it was an ensemble, meaning we're all in a van together, going to set, and then we're all going back to the hotel, and we're all going to go out to dinner. And we were living in Vancouver for 2 months while we were shooting it. The only one that lived in Vancouver was Lachlan Monroe. He was Canadian. He might have not been around as much. He was married, a kid. He's like, I got to go home. But we're like, we're staying at the hotel. So that was probably the best thing. And the worst thing, I can't really think of anything that was that terrible. It was I had a blast.
That's awesome.
Maybe no, I don't know. I don't,
Not a
nothing.
problem. Sometimes there isn't anything that's bad on a film. It's funny. I ask what is the worst, and some people said, well, to give you an answer, even though there's nothing that was really that bad, it was too cold out.
That's usually what it is. I mean, so like if you were to say one that would have been slightly miserable, but not in filming, I had a great time filming it. Hatchet for Victor Crowley was we were on a submerged airplane, right? And we shot at night, and the water was like 50 degrees, and you try sitting in that water for a couple hours, and then you're just miserable. Let's get out, let's do this. But it brought the cast and crew together because we wanted to get it done.
Yeah,
but it was definitely. There's nothing more than being wet and cold. That is what people do not like. We're not wet and cold animals. We're not. Seal would love wet and cold. What are you talking about? A walrus would be like, wet and cold. What's the kind of problem? Wet and cold. That's what I do. I am wet and cold. I don't want to be dry and warm.
Exactly.
But humans are like, we're not walruses. I want to be nice and dry and warm. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Usually, and then there might be like other ones where it's like the locations or the long hours or long drives. I don't think, luckily, I've never had too bad of an experience working with crew or a director or a fellow actor that I just didn't like. I can't take it anymore. I've never had that. Probably because I already have enough patience, and I think everyone does. And you realize, well, I didn't sign on for 20 years. This is a week and a half. I think I can get through this and be polite. So
exactly. So what was it like working with the Wayans brothers? I know you worked with quite a few of them. So what was it like working with them?
I'm about to start on another film with them very soon, in a couple weeks. I love working with them. They let me do what I want to do. They just sent me a text being like, hey, send us photos of your hair and let us know if you got ideas for the character. So they give me permission to play, you know, which is always important. And that stems from Keenan, how he did his stuff the whole time. You know, we're indoors. We're at the batting cages. You can wear shorts if you want. Okay. All right. I'm talking to my son. I'm going to run. I coach baseball, so we got a baseball practice, but it's actually indoors at batting cages.
Okay.
But so after this question, then I got to go.
Okay.
What were we saying? How do these glasses look? They're crazy, huh? My reading glasses. How is it working with the Wayans? Yeah, they let you. They know it's important to open the artist up.
Right.
Take the burden off of an artist. You don't want to claim. Keenan always said, like, I pay you. Like when I was doing Doofy, it's like, that's what I hired you for. I hired you. I want as much creativity of Dave Sheridan on the film. I don't want to stop Dave Sheridan. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, and that was with every department, whether it's his wardrobe department or his hair. He paid for them to do stuff. He doesn't want to be like, what's Keenan?
Right.
What's Keenan? I don't know. You know what I mean? He's like, you're the person that went to school to be a hairdresser and come up, give me something, you know, like, so. That's one thing I learned early on is, and it's rewarding because everyone that works in the business, whether they're a sound guy or a makeup person or an actor, they want to do what their job is, and they want to be able to do their job and have input, you know what I mean, into the process, especially with set design or lighting or acting or camera guy. You don't want a camera guy that's just the DP who's just, I just have to do whatever the director or the producer say. He's not going to be happy versus a guy to say, hey, what about this shot right here? And I come in and I do that. And then you can go, yeah, I like that, but can we'll start back and hold it a little longer. And okay, that's great too. And you basically work as a team.
Absolutely. So the last thing I want to ask you is, do you have anything else that you want to plug, any projects or anything, social media or anything that you want to plug to our listening audience?
No, I'm gonna, that's the things we talked about, those two films. Okay. Those are probably the next things up. I'm going to be, when is this gonna be on?
Probably tonight, maybe tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, like you could go to my Instagram, Dave Sheridan Official, and you could probably see like some upcoming appearances, shows, but I'm gonna be, you know, in North Carolina this weekend in Hickory, then I'm going to be in Tennessee at a place, it's called Hazard Fest. Hazard Fest. That's going to be awesome. I'm going to be there with Dog the Bounty Hunter, and I'm bringing my Doofy outfit. I want to do something with Dog and Doofy. You know,
that's awesome.
Like I'm going to have one of my friends in the Ghostface. Nice. And it's going to be dogs helping me bust Ghostface. You know what I mean? Awesome. And it's good because it's in October, so that should play well. And then I go to Manchester, UK for a thing called For the Love of Horror. Then I'll be at Scarefest in Kentucky. Then after that, I'm going to be in Niagara Falls. It's called Frightmare at the Falls in Niagara Falls. That's the Halloween weekend. Nice. And the weekend after that, I'll be in Dusseldorf, Germany on the 5th and 6th. Then the weekend after that, what is that? Is that the 8th? You're covering up my calendar, but I believe the following weekend after that is is New Jersey HorrorCon, the 12th, 13th, 14th. Nice. After Dusseldorf, and then Horror Realm in Pittsburgh, the 19th is actually the 20th, 21st.
Nice.
Perfect. Then it's Thanksgiving, and then I am kind of off. I think I'm going to be doing a screening of Victor Crowley in Oklahoma, I think on the 17th or 18th of December. Awesome. I only have I think it's only one or two things going on in December right now.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Dave.
Thank you. And good questions. And
thank you.
I'll hope to see you at least virtually.
Yep.
And send me the link to your movie.
Yep, absolutely.
Virtually at that screening. What is that?
Yep. That was my phone going off.
I gotta go. Bye.
All right, bye.